Fire is a natural part of life in our woodlands, wetlands, and pastures, and frequently occurs throughout North Carolina. My name is Jen Haas. I'm a Wildfire Preparedness Coordinator for Mountain Valleys RC&D. Mountain Valleys Resource Conservation and Development Council, or RC&D, is a nonprofit organization established in 1974. We address the conservation of land and water resources across 8 counties in western North Carolina. We partner with agencies such as the U.S. Forest Service, the North Carolina Forest Service, the Nature Conservancy, local fire departments, and city and county officials. Although a wildfire can be a devastating event, putting our family and homes at risk, fire can also be used for management to restore a natural landscape. One example of using prescribed burns in western North Carolina is at the Smith Farm on Bailey Mountain Preserve in Mars Hill. The burn was used to prep the site for planting grasses, wildflowers, and trees.
So in the Southern Appalachians, we've got a number of native ecosystems that have evolved with fire over time. And so they're used to that kind of recurring fire that moves through in the forest understory every so many years. And one of the benefits of prescribed fire now is you can maintain those ecosystems that are fire adapted. You can kind of preserve those plants and the animal species that actually depend on a fire maintained landscape. And those prescribed burns allow us under controlled conditions to manage the landscape with fire for controlling invasive species, managing wildlife habitat, and then reducing the fuel potential of larger, more catastrophic wildfires. So during a prescribed burn, you have an area that you want to burn off, and essentially you have people staged around your preset burn lines or your fire lines, and those folks will slowly kind of light off one part of the fire at a time and slowly let it burn, usually downhill through the fuel that you're trying to burn off, and keep it contained within those preset lines. So one of the cool things about the Smith Farm project is that they're actually going in there and planting some of the native species that would have occurred there naturally. So they're going to put in grass species like Indian grass, little blue stem, milkweed species that are essential for the monarch butterfly. In particular, it's one of the things that they're trying to do is to get quail back in there, and the decrease of our native warm season grass fields, which were traditionally maintained by fire. That's one of the biggest reasons that we don't see the quail populations around here that we did 100 years ago. So any kind of fire needs 3 things. It needs fuel, oxygen, and heat. So when we're doing a prescribed fire, what we essentially want to do is we want to contain the fuel inside an area that then has fire lines cut around it that are deprived of fuel. So that can be either bare dirt, green grass, creeks, roads, anything like that. And that fire will move through the area that we're burning off, and it'll hit those areas without fuel and go out. So there's a lot of different resources out there for landowners that are interested in prescribed burning. I would say the best place to start almost always is to reach out to someone in your community that has experience with it. Usually your best option for that is going to be your North Carolina Forest Service County Ranger. This is what we do. This is part of our job. We really like doing it. We really like helping landowners get out there, burn safely, responsibly, and put fire back on their land.
The prescribed burn at Smith Farm was paid for by a grant from Partners for Fish and Wildlife and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.